Howdy, folks. I'm Brian.
I'm Amber.
Today is Friday Junior.
Yes, happy Friday Junior.
Happy Friday Junior to everyone watching. And here's some Reddit. Our first story is titled, Am I a Jerk for Excluding One Kid from My Daughter's Class to Attend Her Birthday Party? I'll be honest, I'm still learning the ropes with this whole dad thing. Only been in my daughter's life for over a year after finding out about her and taking over since her mom can no longer do so. She just turned 7, and we're having a small birthday celebration in my backyard with her classmates this weekend. When school opened again, we started having problems with one kid in particular, Nick. A lot of parents have been complaining about him because he's a huge bully to the other kids and basically gets benched, basically a timeout, a lot during recess. I've had talks with a teacher because he has made my daughter cry after teasing her constantly about her mom. I was mad. Her teacher promised that they would be going to handle the situation with Nick and keep him away from my daughter. Supposedly, they've had many talks with the mom, but all she seems to do is baby the kid. He hasn't bothered my daughter since the talk with the teacher. So for my daughter's birthday, she decided to invite almost everyone in the class, obviously except for Nick. Her mom confronted me after school when I was picking her up. I guess he was crying that he didn't get an invitation. I had my daughter wait in the car, and this lady was giving me an earful for excluding her son when this could have been a chance for him to finally get along with his classmates. I told her, lady, he had months to do that, or her to teach him. This is their last week of school. A bit too late to be trying to make friends now with how he was treating all the kids, especially my daughter. She just kept saying I should be ashamed of myself for not taking this opportunity to teach my daughter a valuable lesson on learning compassion. It was just a really intense encounter, but in the end, I still refused to give an invitation since my daughter said she doesn't want Nick at her party. I'm still thinking about the whole interaction. I've never dealt with a parent like that, and still being new to it all, I'm sort of having doubts about how I handled it. Did I do the right thing or the wrong? I want my daughter to be as comfortable and happy on her birthday, but I get that this upset another kid. Am I the jerk? Oh boy, OP, yeah. Holy cow, how could you have excluded that poor entitled kid and, made his poor entitled mom yell at you? I mean, that seems like such a huge thing here, OP. Like, why would you do that? Rude. Right, Amber?
No. This is a little bit of a tricky situation because there's just the one kid not being invited. But
Yeah.
I think on the whole, OP is not the jerk here.
A little bit.
Because the child specifically was bullying his daughter. Yeah. And in some very hurtful ways. I don't know the situation that went down with her mother, but he was specifically using something that was very sore and emotional to pick on her.
Yeah. Well, and that's it, too, is that he seems to be a bully. He seems to have some issues here, and he needs to work those out. But, like the dad was saying here, this is the last week of school. This is not the time to make amends.
Right.
Just because he wants to get to a party doesn't mean that now suddenly he can be like, oh, well, I'm a changed person. I'm hoping that this is going to be a valuable lesson to their kid. Because, it shows him that he can't just bully people and expect to get what he wants out of life, right? Yeah, and then, 2, it shows the daughter that she has a dad who's going to stand up for her.
And that she's safe in her own home.
Yeah.
Because I think, that especially, this is her space that she's inviting people into. And so to bring someone in there who makes her uncomfortable and has hurt her, I think would be a problematic thing to do.
Yeah.
And it is important to teach kids compassion, but there's a time and place for that. That's for the shy kid or the disabled kid who people exclude. It's not for the kid who has been bullying you.
Yeah, well, and I mean, okay, suppose that on the playground, the bully got pushed down and hurt. That would be an opportunity to show the bully compassion.
Right.
And to, reach out a helping hand and be like, look, I see that you're hurt here. Here, let me help you. That's compassion. Not inviting him to a birthday party isn't a lack of compassion. It's just not everyone needs to go to everything, and you don't allow your daughter's tormentor to be in her presence.
Yeah.
So that's what this boils down to. Like, it would be uncompassionate for OOP to force his daughter in the same location as the bully.
Exactly.
And, like, kids need protection. That's why they're, under, the jurisdiction of their parents, so to speak, right? They need direction. They need protection. They need someone to be there, some kind of support system. And, like, that's really what this boils down to. And she needs to be able to see and understand that when boundaries are crossed, when boundaries are violated, that there are repercussions for them.
Exactly. Our next story is, would I be the jerk if I didn't tell him where his lost dog is? I have worked at this animal shelter for 5 years. I love my job. Every day we save dogs, reunite them with their owners, and find them new homes. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But today we had a woman bring us a dog she found wandering the street near her house. I recognized the dog instantly. I'm going to call him Spot for the sake of this post because I am not very creative. Spot belongs to my neighbor. I have spent the past 3 years watching Spot wither away over my fence. He lives in a shed on a heavy chain, and never once have I seen my neighbor play with him or bring him inside. All through winter, rain, storms, etc., Spot stays outside. I've reported him for neglect more times than I can count, and I've seen no change to the way that Spot lives. I had extra fencing from when I put up my fence, and I offered it to my neighbor so that Spot could get off the chain and live in a fenced-in yard instead. He didn't accept the offer. A few days ago, Spot disappeared from his shed. I didn't know what happened, if he died or was given away, etc. All I knew was he was gone. Now he's here, at my work. I've done this job for 5 years. I've gotten pretty good at figuring out which dogs have the best chance at adoption, and a dog like Spot, a purebred male as handsome as him, only 3 years old, I'd bet on him finding a home within a few weeks. Besides, we're a no-kill shelter. If he stays here, he'll either live with us until he dies of natural causes or be adopted out. So now I'm sitting here asking myself, do I tell my boss I know this dog's owner, or do I keep my mouth shut? If I tell her, she'll be legally required to contact him and give Spot back, but if I keep my mouth shut, Spot has a darn good chance at a better life. Would I be the jerk if I kept my mouth shut? Edit. Y'all are right. Who's Spot? Never seen this dog before in my life.
Well, I mean, that kind of stole where I was going to go with this.
Yeah, stole our thunder.
So, the thing is this. How do you know for sure that this is Spot? That's my big piece of advice here. Like, what makes you think? It could just look very close. I mean, do you have a picture of Spot? Sometimes our memories are very bad, and sometimes we misremember things. And so, who knows? This just could look uncannily like your neighbor's dog. So, that's my advice.
Yeah, well, it sounds like Spot was in a negligent situation, where he was being outside where he was like outside in all the elements and stuff like that. The owner wasn't really taking care of him beyond like the basic feeding him. Like, he really did not have a good life.
No.
And so letting him go to another family, the odds are the family's probably going to be better than his current one.
Yeah.
So the humane thing for Spot is to let him go to another home.
Yeah.
It sounds like either, whether he gets adopted or not, he's going to have hopefully a more chill life. Like, it sounds like the shelter would be a fine place for him too.
Mm-hmm.
But if he can go with a family that's going to actually take care of him, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, well, and that's just it. It's like, Spot is going to have a better life. Oftentimes, like, it's ethically ambiguous as to whether or what you should do in this situation. Under normal circumstances, the right and ethical thing would be to give the pet back. And in this particular case, I don't think that that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Right? There is the ethical conflict there of whether you should return the dog to its rightful owner or not. And in this particular case, I don't think you should.
But yeah, I think in this situation, the ethics dictate that the right thing to do is not to return the dog and let it be adopted out so that hopefully the dog can have a better life.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for making my germaphobic husband change our son's diaper? My husband is a 27-year-old male and I'm a 25-year-old female, and we have a 2-month-old together. He does everything almost except changing the diapers. He's a hardcore germaphobe, so I handle the dirty parts of our son's care. So my husband's been pestering me about the faces I make when changing our son's diaper, telling me to smile all the time. I told him, leave me alone. It's easy for him to say when he's not the one dealing with the smell and goodness. But every time when I'm in the middle of changing diapers, my husband would show up out of nowhere like he busted me or something and tell me that the faces I keep making are going to have an impact on our son's emotional state and I should smile. He'd motion with his hand and be like, smile. I told him to leave me alone. He knows how difficult this is for me, but does nothing to help. Instead, he just mocks me and keeps pestering me. I said if he ever tries to hassle me again with just smile, then he'll start handling the diaper changes. Last night around 9, he was in the kitchen already eating dinner without me and not waiting while I was getting ready to change my son's diaper. He came into the room with his mouth full of food and once again commented on how my face looked and reminded me to smile and show love and stop causing harm to our son's emotional health. I snapped. I walked up to him, told him that he ran out of chances to stop his annoying behavior and that he should start handling the diaper change from now on, and we'll see how big his smile will be. His tone changed, and he said that we both agreed that I would be handling the diaper changes even before our son was born, and that I already knew too well what the reason is. He's a germaphobe, yes, but he's also a parent. What type of parent never changes their baby's diaper? I handed him the stuff and asked him to enjoy while I kept standing to watch how he does it. It took him forever, as I expected, and he made all these types of disgusted, grossed out faces for a minute, and I thought he was going to throw up. He was finished, and I said that he lost the smiling contest with the faces he made. He was mad and rushed to wash his hands, complaining about how I'm trying to get him to do everything, and that I ruined his appetite by having him experience that. I replied he hasn't seen anything yet, and asked, since he wants us to have 4 kids, how he will be handling the other 3. He said he has changed his mind and only wants 2. But my point still stands. He tried to argue that I'm not taking his germophobia seriously, and what I forced him to do wasn't cool. He's been upset since then. Am I the jerk? So, what do you think of this one?
I'm going to say that OP is not the jerk here. Now, if her husband is germophobic and has actually been diagnosed by a psychologist, he probably, if it's so serious that he can't handle a diaper change, he probably should go into therapy.
Yeah.
Because basically this means OP can never leave him alone with the child.
Yeah, well, that's another big problem I see with this, and that's a great point, is that what is he going to do by himself? Is OP going to take care of the baby for the next however many years until they're potty trained? And that's, I think, kind of an unfortunate arrangement. Now, I do understand if OP is a germaphobe, that might be a legitimate, medical concern or condition. And, but the question is this just someone saying that they're a germaphobe, or are they really sincerely an actual, this is a real phobia of theirs? And I mean, I normally would say that you should believe people when they say these kinds of things, but also if he hasn't ever tried to make a effort to change it or to work through those problems, then that's also kind of problematic too.
Well, and I think regardless of that, even if we take him at face value and say, yes, he's a germaphobe, OP has explicitly told him the behavior he was doing was hurtful. His telling her to smile was not helping her.
Yeah.
And that if he kept it up, she was going to stop changing the diapers.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that would essentially leave him to do it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think that's a good point, is that this wasn't unprovoked, and that she would have been willing and happy to continue this arrangement. Or, I mean, at least willing.
Yeah,
maybe
I don't know
not
if
necessarily happy
is the word there.
But willing to continue this arrangement. As long as he wasn't doing this, haranguing her and, telling her that she was changing diapers poorly.
Right.
And that she was emotionally damaging her child.
Right. I mean, kids are going to see all kinds of faces.
Yeah.
Like, that's so strange.
Yeah, maybe the baby thinks it's a funny face. So, I don't know. I think that emotionally damaging their child seems like a really bad excuse.
A stretch.
A stretch.
While certainly, again, if he has a fear of germs, that I think it's important because of the situation that he addresses that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, because as a parent, there may be situations where OP cannot be with the child, and again, and it doesn't.
Well, what happens if she goes into the hospital for some reason?
Right, exactly. So if he's going to co-parent with her, it's important that he can handle the daily things a child would need to do.
Exactly. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. If you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks to Amber for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks so much for watching. And we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
On Friday, Junior, Senior.
On Friday.
On Friday. On Friday.
Friday.
Or on Friday. Wait, if we did on Friday, then that would annihilate it, so it would be no day.
Yeah, well, I just said on Friday.
Oh, on Friday.
I didn't say on Friday.
I thought you said on Friday.
All right. I'm taking over now. So, let's see. When Brian was a kid, he stole his mom's keys and dangled them in front of her face, like he locked her out of the house. This is bad-mouthing Brian on Brian's advice. He's in the other room. He probably could hear what I'm doing exactly. But yeah, so that's the story about Brian when he was a kid. He closed his mom out, locked the door, and dangled the keys like in the little window in front of her. So, there's your Brian story for the day. He's probably told you that one before.